Welcome back, or welcome to a brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Zane Taicho. As always, I'm joined by my fantastic co-hosts, a gamer, a gentleman. The list goes on. The gentlemanly gamer is here with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone in Radioland. Those intros just get better every week, don't they, Zane?
They absolutely do, don't they?
It's definitely like you spend the whole week preparing them and you don't just make them up on the fly. That's 100% what it comes across like.
Do you know what's weird? I actually do think about it, and then I'm like, stuff it. Do it on the fly. This is live on YouTube.
Stuff it. Whatever. Let's just do it.
Just every episode has a certain je ne sais quoi about it.
Every episode has that certain I don't know what.
That just rides the tone throughout the entire episode.
Exactly. How are you, Zany boy? Have you had a good week?
Yeah. It's been a wild week, I'd say.
A wild week, like the Wild West. Do tell. What's been going down?
Was that the nuts? Wild West?
The wiki Wild West. Listen, we're not going to... Listen, look, do we want to put our official opinion out about the Oscars?
I mean, you went there with the Wild West. I
didn't mean it like that. I was just...
You sure?
I am sure. Yes. Are you a fan of Will Smith's hitch slap?
What's odd is I've seen a lot of people say, "Is Deadshot going to get a series now?"
Oh God. It's so weird. It's such a weird scenario. I do not. I would like to, as the gentlemanly gamer out there, I would just like to say I do not condone violence in any stretch of the imagination. I think he was wrong to do it. I think if he disapproved of the joke, then he should have had a quiet word with Chris Rock after they were off stage and saying, "Don't ever say stuff like that about my wife again, or there will be problems between us." I think it was really stupid what he did, and there's no space for violence out there. However, the jokes and the memes that have come out since because of it are hilarious. So, for those of you who think it's fake, by the way, like I don't know how I don't know how you can possibly think that. Like I can understand if you think it's a little bit of like slapstick or stuff, but then when he sits down and drops the F-bomb on live TV in front of like 3 million people watching, or however many were, it's not fake, guys. Sorry, it wasn't fake. He got very emotional and upset.
I don't know if you've seen, there's a clip going round of Andrew Garfield after the Oscars. Have you seen it?
I don't know. I haven't seen the clip after. There's a meme out there where he's checking his phone and it just says Andrew Garfield checking out the Twitter reactions to Will Smith slapping someone in the face.
So there's this clip going around where he goes up to someone and you can see him mouth the words and then he slapped him and then use the motion with his own hand, sort of thing.
Andrew Garfield should have won the Oscar. I'm just saying it now. He's
100%.
Have you seen the thing that they've taken? Sorry, we're talking a lot about this Will Smith thing. Have you seen the thing about Lupita Nyong'o? I think that's how you say her name. I apologize. I butchered the name. The 7 faces of Lupita Nyong'o after the Will Smith slap. It's absolutely amazing. Where it's just like happiness, sadness, concern, anger. It's so good. Go and look it up if you haven't seen it, guys. It is fantastic. But yeah, the Oscars was crazy, wasn't it?
Wild.
Everyone remembers everything else about it. They definitely don't just remember that one incident. Oh God. So, Zany boy, what are we talking about this week?
This week we are going to give our review, our reactions, our thoughts on a movie that some have called a Marvel legend. Not us, but the promotional people at Sony.
When they gave away the whole film in the trailers.
Of course, we are talking about Morbius. Dr. Michael Morbius.
We are, to you. I'd just like to say spoilers for later. This might be the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I should have put spoilers in the title.
Yes,
I'll do that
spoilers
after.
in the title. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I might be able to do that on the live.
All right. Well, as you're doing it on the fly, but what we do before then, we're going to go through our usual weekly dip and dive into the world of hints and tips and bits. Even hints, tips and bits. We're going to talk about. So,
what did you say before? Hits and highs.
Hits and highs. I don't know what I said. I can't remember. It's just late on a Friday night. What do you want from me? Yeah, we do our usual tips and bits where we look at some of the choice news from the week and give it a reverence look. But before all of that, Zane, and I'm going to I'm going to slow my speech so that you've got lots of time to prepare. We're going to go straight into what some have described as the greatest recurring segment on any show ever. I'm not going to say who those some people are, because they don't want to be named. But let's just say friends of the show. It is time for What Is All the Rage with Nicolas Cage.
In 1997, Tim Burton wanted to make a Superman movie starring Nicolas Cage. Why can't they just make this now? Would it matter how much time I appeared as the character? There might still be a chance. Posted.
Oh, that would be amazing. I really want to see him in like a multi-dimensional Superman. Like that would be so good. So what I've done this week is that there has been some more Nicolas Cage news. There was I might cover it next week when we talk about we'll talk about some other stuff next week, but there was some stuff about Face Off which he talked about, but I'm going to save that for another day because I've been sitting on this weird Nicolas Cage fact for a month now. I teased it a month ago on our show, and we're going to go back to it tonight because it is just amazing.
Okay,
I'm going to read this out to you, Zane. Strap yourself in for this one because it's a humdinger.
Ooh,
here's the headline: He once tripped out on mushrooms with his cat.
Is that it?
Appearing as a guest on David Letterman's Late Show in 2010, Cage was armed with a valuable talk show anecdote. Earlier in his career, he said he owned a cat named Lewis who enjoyed partaking in Cage's stash of magic mushrooms. Finally, Cage decided he should have some too. I remember lying in my bed for hours, he said, and Lewis was on the desk across from me in the bed for hours, staring at each other. Not moving, but he would stare at me, and I had no doubt that he was my brother. How great is that?
Oh, wow.
So Nicolas Cage likes to get high with his cats. Any feedback on that?
I mean, it's. Where do you start? I mean, not only is it Nicolas Cage, but the fact that he's going on TV and talking about this trip with a cat is just bananas.
Not just any cat, my brother.
And he called it Lewis as well.
Yeah, he called it Lewis, I know.
I mean, I'm not someone to talk. I named my cat Roddy after the best professional wrestler in the world.
Yes.
Not Piper, Roderick Strong.
Yeah, when you call your firstborn son MJF, then we do have problems. But there's a current wrestling joke for you guys out there. He did name his firstborn son Kal-El, so until you get to that. But it's a Hebrew name, just remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't represent the first son of Krypton, or the last son of Krypton, even. But yeah, anyway, that was the Nicolas Cage news for this week. Because he once tripped on magic mushrooms with his cat, who he now identifies as his brother.
That's like some what's that movie called?
Matrix.
What's the name of that movie with Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro?
Benicio del Toro. Yeah, it's
Las Vegas?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Fear and Loathing. That sounds like a Fear and Loathing story.
About Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like a fear. Yeah, it does. It does sound like that. Maybe that's where he got the inspiration from it. I was watching that film and I just thought, I need some magic mushrooms. Anyway, right, moving on. So, should we get into tips and bits?
Yeah, let's get into some tips and bits.
All right, it's going to be an up and down tips and bits this week, guys, because we've got a lot to talk about. We've got some personal sad news, not personal sad news for us, but I mean personal sad news kind of for people that we recognize as people in the world who have had bad things happen to them. So yeah, we'll kick off with it dropped this week, but Hollywood action star Bruce Willis, he's retiring from acting after being diagnosed with aphasia. So he is not going to be doing any more films ever.
Wow.
It's a really degenerative mental disorder. It robs you of the ability to communicate. It can affect your speech, writing, understanding language, both verbal and written. So it's really horrible. It's a nasty thing to have happen. And I thought it was just worthwhile bringing up because, I mean, as far as Bruce Willis is concerned, his reputation as far as acting is concerned over the last 15 years or so, 10 years or so has not been great because, you know, a lot of people have said he just phones it in now because he likes doing music because he's a blues musician. So he likes doing music a lot more than he likes doing acting. But, you know, let's not forget, this is the same guy who's, you know, he did Die Hard, obviously, Pulp Fiction, you know, Fifth Element, whether divisive or not, you know. It's great. Yeah. I enjoy it a lot. 12 Monkeys, Looper, he's done really good films. And it's really sad that we're not going to see Bruce Willis anymore. That's it. It's done. He's not going to act anymore. Your thoughts on this and how much of an impact he had on you, growing up?
Yeah, that's heartbreaking to hear because I think more than anything, Bruce Willis always the roles he played and the way he portrayed them, he always kind of looked and act as the average Joe could be a hero. Like you said, Die Hard is just a beautiful, you know, picture in that regard. You know, he's just a cop that's just doing the right thing and wanted to get home to his family at Christmas. Anyone can relate to that last part. But yeah, any other movie, he's just been the average Joe that's gone above and beyond. And he's always done that in a fantastic, beautiful way.
Not just that, but he's also been over the years, Bruce Willis. Maybe next week we'll do a little tribute thing to him and rank some of his films or something. That might be quite nice to do on the show. Yeah. But he's also he has an incredible gift of being able to reinvent himself over the years. He's had 40 years in Hollywood. You know, in the 80s, he was the like you said, he was the everyman in a world full of macho action heroes. You know, he did The Sixth Sense. Don't forget that really redefined him. I See Dead People.
Yeah.
12 Monkeys was absolutely it. 12 Monkeys is one of my favorite Bruce Willis films ever. It's my favorite Terry Gilliam film as well. It's just incredible piece of work. That really bleak, but so well done.
I don't think I've ever seen it, you know.
Oh, dude, you are missing out, man. It's one of Brad Pitt's earliest performances as well. It's just amazing in it. Looper is as far as I'm concerned, Looper is one of the most recent, really excellent Bruce Willis performances as well. Across what's his name? I want to say Thomas Hayden Church. It wasn't Thomas Hayden Church. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There we go. And I'm very sad about this because I mean, Die Hard with a Vengeance. They're two of my favorite action films of all time. So sad news. Anyway, moving on. We should do that. Maybe we'll do a little tribute show next week for Bruce Willis.
I'd like to do that. Yeah.
So moving on. Fantastic Beasts. The Fantastic Beasts are back. They're out of the suitcase. They're wandering around. This time, they've got the secrets of Dumbledore with them, Zane.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what? Would you like to take a guess how long it will take for them to tell the secrets of Dumbledore on screen?
Is it 2 hours?
It is 2 hours. It is 136 minutes, which is 2 hours and 16 minutes exactly. So,
wow.
It's just a few minutes longer than its predecessors. It's a bit longer than whatever the other two were called. Fantastic Beasts, Where to Find Them, and then Johnny Depp thing.
Crimes of
Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Would you like to also hear the first critics' reaction to it?
Yeah, I'm interested.
These are the critics' reactions that are out on Twitter right now. So there was a special kind of screening for critics. I don't know what they haven't given me any more details now. I don't know, but it's a critics' reaction. They're coming out. They're out on Twitter now.
I think if I'm right in what I saw, the screenings for critics was today, and then the movie's out on the 8th of April.
I believe so, which we're probably going to have to go and stuff. Just realised we're probably have to go see that as well and do a reaction to that. God damn it. Okay, anyway, so this is the first one. This is from Perry Nemiroff at P Nemiroff on Twitter. Secrets of Dumbledore is a big bounce back for the Fantastic Beasts series for me. Back to enjoying the group dynamic and caring about the main mission. A little thin here and there, but a far more engaging ride than the last. Dan Fogler continues to be a favourite and the Niffler. And then we've got Griffin.
Dan Fogler.
Dan Fogler. Griffin Schiller at Griff Schiller on Twitter. Steve Kloves miraculously salvages a sinking ship with Fantastic Beasts 3, but it doesn't fully fix the larger issues with the series. Still, by far, the best of the three, the series feels fun again, with capital F-U-N. The layers of Dumbledore are peeled back and explored in interesting ways. Had a good time. I hope that's not an innuendo. And then we'll do one more. Xander Harbert. Secrets of Dumbledore. Oh, that's at Xander Harbert on Twitter. Secrets of Dumbledore is a magical menagerie of homages to the Potter films, boasting a new slate of wondrous creatures and mythos. At Fantastic Beasts 3 rectifies fans' biggest qualms with FB2, offering answers, groundbreaking moments, and epic battles in this love letter to misfits. So, there's more, but it's pretty safe to say Fantastic Beasts 3, FB3, looks like it is a hit and is going to be good. It's good. It's a good one, Zane. Are you excited? Are you excited to see more of the beasts and what they're up to?
Yeah, it felt like going into this, well, I haven't seen it yet, but the lead up to this, it felt like there was so much stacked against it. Like, as someone's tweeted, it felt like this could be make or break for the entire franchise as a whole, which would have been really sad considering I really like the first Fantastic Beast. I think it's actually a really good watch. I'm really excited to see Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald.
I can't wait. That is the draw of the film for me. It's Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald. I think I have no issues with Johnny Depp. I really don't. I am, as far as that whole scenario is concerned, I'm not going to go into it with what happened with him and Amber Heard. Personally speaking, I'm on his side, and that's all I'll say. I'm not going to go any further into that. If they had to replace him with anyone, man, could they not have got anyone better than Mads Mikkelsen, because Mads Mikkelsen is absolutely fantastic. For those of you who don't know who he is, I mean, he's been living under a rock for a lot. No, he's probably his most famous roles. He was Hannibal in the TV series of Hannibal, literally called Hannibal. I've said Hannibal like 5 times now. He was also Le Chiffre in Casino Royale, which was that first Daniel Craig Bond movie. And he's been in loads of other stuff since then. He's also Caecilius in Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange. He's just amazing. So if you're excited for Mads Mikkelsen, well, you should be. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. It's going to be good.
See, look, I'm going to throw this out into the universe in case someone at Warner Brothers hears me, but I will buy any DVD, even the box set, if they CGI him in the other 2 movies. If they just CGI Mads in the first one where they reveal Grindelwald,
Hayden Christensen on him, put him in Anakin,
just CGI him in all. I will buy the box sets. I will buy the digital versions. I will buy the subscription to HBO Max.
How's this for some fan casting for you? This is this will excite you. He's already been in the MCU. He's already been Caecilius. However, Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Ready? Doctor
Yeah.
Doom.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it.
It's amazing, isn't it? It is perfect.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
Too perfect, maybe.
Yeah, it's just, oh, dude, he'd be so good. He'd be so good as Doctor Doom. Anyway, it's never going to happen, but, we can dream. Maybe they'll get his brother, Lars Mikkelsen, to do
it. Maybe.
Could happen.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to make this as lighthearted as possible, this next news story, because we love talking about him on this show, and you know exactly what's coming, don't you, Zane? We've talked about Fantastic Beasts, and who's one of the main stars of Fantastic Beasts, Zane?
Ezra Miller.
That is correct. It's Ezra Miller. Now, let's just say we've had some conversations over the last, few weeks. We mentioned about the fact that the Homelander, the star of Homelander, Homelander in The Boys got arrested, and we were saying there's not really many bad boys around in Hollywood anymore. Well, don't worry about it. Ezra Miller had us covered, because Ezra Miller's been in quite a lot of trouble this week, hasn't he, Zane?
Oh my gosh, yeah, he has.
So, I'm gonna read this article out to you. This is on comicbookmovie.com. So it is amazing. The initial source was Radar Online, who reported this, and I'm just going to read the whole article because it is fantastic. I will have to. There are some choice swear words in this, which I will have to replace with some other things. So I'm gonna remove some of the letters, but you'll get the general gist of what is being said.
Can I give you a challenge?
Okay, go on.
Can you replace it with Popular Biscuits?
Yes, I will do.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Easy.
There's only one word, so it's fine. Right. Justice. This. I'm going to read the whole article because it's great. Justice League star Ezra Miller clearly has some very serious anger issues. Following the recent news of the actor's arrest in Hawaii for disorderly conduct and harassment, Miller has been hit with a restraining order after allegedly threatening and stealing from a couple he'd been staying with in Hilo after they bailed him out of jail. According to the court documents filed by the pair, who don't want to be named, Miller burst into their bedroom and is quoted as saying, "I will bury you and your shortbread wife." The order also states Ezra is famous and wealthy. This makes access to weapons much easier, as well as sending associates to harass the couple. Following this confrontation, the actor is said to have stolen a wallet, social security card, passport, driver's license, and bank cards. Miller had reportedly been staying with the couple for over a week after meeting them at a farmer's market, and they'd been showing him around Hilo prior to his arrest. After the incident at the bar, the pair posted the $500 bail. $500 for the Hollywood star Ezra Miller to get bail. Miller is currently involved with two major Warner Brother franchises and is set to lead Andy Muschietti's upcoming The Flash movie. Studio has let to respond, but after this and the 2020 video of an actor choking... Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. Sorry. Choking a woman outside a bar in Iceland, which they also failed to address, there is going to be a lot of pressure on them to take some kind of action. So I've often referred to Ezra Miller on the show as the chokeslam specialist Ezra Miller, because he faced absolutely zero repercussions for that, and it really annoys me to this day. Do you think that this might be his time now, where Warner Brothers finally decides, maybe we shouldn't put him in our big franchises? Thoughts on that and his future as the Flash?
This is a lot to kind of think about, isn't it? Like,
don't talk about the case. We're not going to talk about. Look, regardless, we're not here to pass legal judgment on anyone until they're innocent until proven guilty and all that kind of jazz. There's ongoing stuff with it. We're not going to comment on the case. What we're going to comment on is the optics of these things and the fact that Warner Brothers replaced Johnny Depp for alleged allegations and basically wife beatery, when Ezra Miller has threatened somebody to murder them and has also been videoed physically assaulting a woman. Where do you think this is going?
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts are there's no way he's going to be Barry Allen for long. Like, I don't know where they're going to go with this Fantastic Beast movie. I assume he won't see more after it, because I don't think they allude to spoilers for Fantastic Beasts 2. That
They don't
Dumbledore
allude
has
to it
another
much.
brother.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that, I don't think they talk about a second brother in
I
Harry
wouldn't be
Potter.
surprised
So yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next thing writes him out. I think this is it for him. I really, I hope. I personally speaking, as far I don't begrudge anyone having, like, you know, losing their job or anything like that. But I think maybe probably don't feature somebody who seems quite aggressive in mainstream franchises anymore. You know, especially playing a hero and stuff like that, like in the Flash and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
very
not a good look.
problematic, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, watch this space for more news on Ezra Miller. We will see what happens. So moving forward, Zane, were you a fan of Game of Thrones?
I was, yeah.
Yes, I think we all were, weren't we? Were you disappointed with how it ended?
Yeah, it's probably fair to say.
Well, don't worry about it, because I know that the thing you'll be looking forward to is more Game of Thrones. And lucky for you, there's more Game of Thrones coming, baby, because the House of the Dragon has its official release date. House of the Dragon is starring Matt Smith, Phoebe Campbell, Harry Corlett, Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy, Steve Toussaint, loads of people, and Rhys Evans, as well as Paddy Constantine as well, actually.
Oh, cool.
August the 21st is the official release date for the House of the Dragon. I will tell you right now, I'm like you, and I was extremely disappointed with the ending of Game of Thrones. Not necessarily with the direction they went in, but the fact that it was so rushed. And why the hell would you make Bran king? Shut the fudge up. This, I am extremely hopeful for. I think this is going to be really good. I really do. Yeah. The legacy of the Targaryens has been a very interesting thing that we've not really seen on screen, because obviously when Game of Thrones kicks off, the Targaryens are pretty much wiped out. So to see them in their glory days with full control of the Iron Throne, I think is going to be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to it, and we're going to see Targaryens riding dragons properly this time. Like, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Matt Smith with his big moon chin riding a dragon. We'll talk more about Matt Smith later on, but oh yes, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Is this going up head to head with Amazon's
Lord of the Rings? Yes, I think it
Lord
is
of the Rings series. Yeah,
yes, I believe so. I'm
wow.
not surprised. Well, HBO needs something, don't they? They need like a big heavy hitter, and As much as people detest the finale, I think they blame that a lot on what's his face? The oh god, I can't remember what his name is.
The directors.
Yeah,
because they were going to go off to do Star Wars.
Yeah, and then that got trashed because of the reaction to the ending. You know who I mean, don't you? The two writers, Ben. Oh, that is going to drive me nuts. Hang on. Wait, guys, wait. Keep talking. Zane, quick, talk.
It's going to be Battle of the Fantasy franchises this year, by the sounds of it. Then Game of Thrones head to head with.
Benioff and Weiss, that was it. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, that was it. They were those two. They were the two that were apparently blamed for the finale being or the last series being so rubbish. But yeah, Battle of the Fantasy shows this year. You know, it's normally Battle of Superheroes, but it's going to be a big banging battle of fantasy.
What an age to live in. You know, we've come 10 years of Marvel versus DC, and now it's Game of Thrones versus
crazy days. I know, who would have thought. So moving on, a bit of sad news again, unfortunately, at this one. So one of our favorites, I know one of my favorites, one of your favorites, the actor Matt Lanter, who you will know as he's the voice of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. He's also Sky Fox in Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix. Unfortunately, he is not doing very well. He's gone into hospital. He has had some surgery he's had an ongoing, basically, abdominal pain earlier the year. It diagnosed with a closed loop intestinal obstruction. that
Oh, wow.
put him at high risk of complications. And unfortunately, the surgery didn't go very well, and he's recovering at the moment. So just a news story to say, that's on behalf of sffgazette.com. But just a little thing to say, obviously, he's never going to watch the show, but we wish him all the best here at Undisputed Nerds and hope he gets better soon. We've on the record before as stating our love for Jupiter's Legacy. And obviously the Clone Wars as well. So hope you get better soon, Matt.
Yeah, definitely. All prayers and wishes, because you deserve to be Anakin more than Hayden Christensen. There, I said it.
Wow. Okay, so just a little bit of news now whilst we're talking about Hayden Christensen. There's a new release date for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it has been pushed all the way back. It was originally set to debut on Wednesday, May the 25th. It's now debuting. Hold on to your hats, guys. It's a double episode debuting on May the 27th, 2 days later.
Doubles?
Yep. Premiering with a double episode on May 27th.
Drop those doubles. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, did I hear that it was going up against something that day as well?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things 4, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's what do you watch on that day? Both, obviously. It's ridiculous. Like
this
isn't like a
time in the day.
It annoys me with this though. It's like this isn't like going to the cinema to see something. It's not coming out on the same day as something. It's like, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do on that day? I'm going to watch both of those by myself because my wife isn't interested in either of them. So I'll just watch them back to back. Oh no.
Do you think the prospect of 2 Obi-Wan episodes are going to get those ratings in? Disney going to be, look at them. People are on our app longer than on Netflix.
They've played a shrewd game with that one, haven't they? All right, so moving on. We're all excited to see. We've covered Obi-Wan a lot on the show recently, so yeah, we're all excited to see it. May 27th, guys.
And Stranger Things. We're so excited for Stranger Things.
Oh my god, Stranger Things! I can't wait for. Yeah, I love David Harbour, so anything that he's doing, I adore. This is one we haven't talked about much on the show before, but we're going to talk about this week. The Familia is coming back. The Familia, Fast and the Furious 10. It's coming. It's set for release on May 19th, 2023. The breakout star of the Suicide Squad, Ratcatcher herself, Danielle Melchior, has been cast in Fast and the Furious number 10. Presumably, they're going to space, baby. Ratcatcher's going to be in it. She's starring alongside Vin Diesel, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Michelle Rodriguez, and Sung Kang. They're all expected to reprise their respective roles. Justin Lin will be directing it. Details on her characters being kept under wraps. But also, they've previously announced that Jason Momoa has been cast as the villain. So there's a very high chance that Melchior will be on the same side as him. Thoughts on this, Zany boy? I love her from Suicide Squad, so I'm excited to see her in this. Certainly. But what are your thoughts?
I'm pretty sure I heard Vin Diesel say this was going to be the last one for the OGs.
Well, of course, because they're going into space. So Vin Diesel's going to discover a new species of life, and that's what's going to.
I thought you were going to say like a new measurement of like speed, like light speed or something.
Yeah, he's going to find
a light speed of a time.
This is what we're actually going to finally get the long-awaited crossover between Fast and the Furious and Star Trek, and Vin Diesel is going to invent warp speed.
Can you imagine him with a Cronola?
What's a Cronola? A Corona.
Corona. Let's say it's Cronola for argument's sake.
Yeah, Corololo, because otherwise we'll get YouTube will come down on us for saying that word.
Imagine him with a drink in his hand and he goes, engage.
I got these nitros in the back. Make it so. Anyway, there you go. So Fast and the Furious 10. I don't really care about the Fast and the Furious like that much, but I mean, I love Daniela Melchior. I always say her name wrong. She's a French actor. I loved her and Sebastian the Rat in the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
So for me, it was that's great. It's awesome, and I love Jason Momoa as well. So. It's all good. It's all good. So one thing that we haven't talked about this week, and we should probably clear the air right now with it, is yes, we are aware here at the Undisputed Nerds that Moon Knight has come out this week. We have seen it. To give you our first episode review, we both thought it was really good. But I think what we've decided is we're going to do a series recap when the finale airs and cover it all in one go, because this week we really wanted to talk about Morbius. So yeah, watch this space, guys. We will be updating on Moon Knight. However, the reason I bring it up is that Moon Knight's official place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline order has been revealed. Zane, where do you think it goes? Where do you think Moon Knight slots into the world?
That's interesting, because I watched an interview with the director and he said it was a secret. He said they had an idea, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because it's so isolated.
Well, they've ruined that because they've officially. I put a picture up for you to show for the viewers who are watching on YouTube at the moment. I will tell the listening audience right now. So, Moon Knight is officially set after Hawkeye. It is the latest thing in terms of the MCU timeline. It is officially after Hawkeye. So we're talking very current, baby. So presumably that means it's before Doctor Strange.
Oh, I see. So, right. So, Endgame, then it's Loki, then What If, then WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And then
Falcon, Winter Soldier, then Shang-Chi, then Eternals, then Hawkeye.
And then Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, interesting, right? Moon Knight is right up there as close as possible. I'm wondering, because that is the next thing after Moon Knight is Doctor Strange. So I'm wondering if this, because if for those of you who watched the first, spoilers, guys, for the first episode of Moon Knight right now, I'm going to say it right now. I'm wondering if this whole Egyptian god breaking down barriers and judging people in this world, I'm wondering if that's the dimensional boundaries being frayed by this whole stuff that's going on in Doctor Strange, and possibly this is like a nightmare, because obviously there's been a lot of rumors about Nightmare being the bad guy. Maybe it's Nightmare causing this, judging people and doing this influence on them potentially. So, especially if it's set almost exactly right next to Doctor Strange. So, yeah, it is the most current thing.
Where does Spider-Man fall in here? No Way Home.
I think No Way Home is. Good question.
Far From Home is after Endgame.
Far From Home is after Endgame. Yeah, because of Tony Stark. You're right.
Yeah.
It must be after Hawkeye. It must be just after Hawkeye.
But it's at Christmas, isn't it? The last scene of No Way Home is him web slinging.
Right, it is. So, you're right. It is. Yeah, so it's got to be after Eternals. So it's after Eternals before Hawkeye then, because Hawkeye takes place at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Which is interesting, because there's absolutely no mention in No Way Home about the giant hand that comes out of the Pacific Ocean in the Eternals. And the big celestial head that's now apparently part of the Earth without destroying it.
That's true.
Eternal. Yeah. F you. All right. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even tweet that. Yeah, you're right. I love how Sony Spider-Man is not considered in any of the MCU timelines. It's even funnier when we talk about Morbius later. Right. So moving on now, we're going to round off tips and bits this week with some DC news. Batgirl has officially finished shooting. It's been shooting finitoed. It's been shooting in Glasgow, Scotland, since last year. they finally finished production. So Leslie Grace took to Instagram to make the news official while sharing a fun video from the set. You can find it on Instagram. Go and have a look. Are you excited for this? It's a HBO Max movie, just to be clear. It's not going to get a theatrical release, it doesn't look like. It's Leslie Grace as Barbara Gordon. They haven't released Warner Brothers have not announced a release date for it yet. But the principal photography's been done now, so we should be getting a release soon. Are you excited for Batgirl still? Are you interested, really?
I'm more interested to see where it fits in with everything else. Yeah, more than anything. Wow, and get to see Keaton and Batfleck on screen and everything.
Yeah.
Or am I thinking of Flash?
You're thinking of
Batfleck's
Flash.
in Flash. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, this was the one where we were talking about. I think where J.K. Simmons is coming back for that as Jim Gordon. We talked about it last week, and he's excited to do it. And we originally thought it was going to be, I can't remember the actor's name. I always forget the actor's name. The guy who is Jim Gordon.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be Jeffrey Wright, but it's not. It's going to be J.K. Simmons, and it's weird. DC are all over the place at the moment with their things. They are all over the place. However, moving swiftly on. I'm going to read this whole article out. So I've saved this last one for you.
Oh.
This last one's for you, Zane, baby. So
okay.
I am going to take this with a massive pinch of salt. It is heavy rumors. However, there is some weight to it. So despite its recent release date delay, a test screening, this is again from comicbookmovie.com, a test screening of The Flash is said to have taken place. As a result, a fresh wave of rumors about the DC Extended Universe's future have started doing the rounds, including a report that, yes, the movie is going to reboot this shared world. Right. We've suspected for a while, of course, but the consequences could upset some fans. It appears that Henry Cavill's time as Superman will have officially come to an end after the Scarlet Speedster rewrites reality, with Sasha Cale instead taking center stage as Supergirl. We've even heard rumors that Michael Shannon's General Zod may have killed Kal-El while he was a baby in the new DCEU. So Superman may just be dead. But brace yourself for this one. The Snyderverse isn't fully being written out of continuity, though, with that reality seemingly put to one side, probably to placate the fans who might otherwise lose their minds at it being wiped away. So as a result, there have also been some conflicting reports about Ben Affleck's Batman future, with some claiming he's 100% done with The Dark Knight, and others alleging there's a scene with him at the end of the movie in Flash, which sets the stage for a Crisis on Infinite Earth event down the line.
What?
This likely means that when all these different worlds collide at some point, the Snyderverse could somehow come into play. We're not banking on that or a Crisis movie panning out, giving Warner Brothers apparent inability to plan ahead. But it's looking like The Flash will confirm that this new DCEU is part of the larger multiverse. From there, they at least have the option to do something with Crisis. So, I think that they will do this. I think they will do a Crisis on Infinite Earth. I wouldn't be surprised if Batfleck comes back for it. I think this is the way that they'll get rid of Ezra Miller's Flash. I think this is... I'm not joking. I think Barry Allen will be gone. I think they'll bring in Bart Allen instead, or Wally West. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of the other Flashes. But yeah, it looks like Batfleck might not be done just yet, Tiger.
Yes.
Your never-ending love for him just keeps him coming back and back and back, doesn't it?
Someone will clip this and send it to Warner Brothers. They'll be like, check out this YouTuber's reaction. And they'll be like, we did the right thing here. Exactly. This is our money on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is what it's all about. Give Ben
that HBO money. He's coming back.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, I'm not. Look, those of you who watch
Infinite's
this show,
huge as well. Like,
yes,
that's a mad one to kind of like to just throw out there. I know it won't be Infinite. It won't exactly be page for page like Infinite, because
that'd be an adaptation of it.
Yeah, it would be an adaptation the same way the CW had an adaptation. Like, it'll be in name and everything else.
Yes, exactly. I think there's a lot of events that DC can. I mean, they love their events, and I think if the Crisis on Infinite Earth is as you said, it's a behemoth, and I think that's why it would be concerning because DC don't have necessarily the best track record of planning ahead. So I mean, it sounds like they're going to try and do a really hodgepodge version of Flashpoint with the Flash to reset reality. Which is it is what it is.
A part of me wouldn't be surprised if they're like, do we have a multiverse of madness? Like Flashpoint is going to be our No Way Home. Now, do we have a multiverse of madness? And someone says we got an Infinite Crisis. What's that? It's a thing from the 80s.
It's not even, that's not the right one either. Infinite Crisis is not the one from it's Crisis on Infinite Earths is the one from the 80s. Infinite Crisis is the one from the 2010s or whatever it is with Alexander Luthor and the tuning fork, and that's the one with like Superboy Prime is the Infinite Crisis.
Punches reality.
Yes, that one. And it's the one that eventually leads to what's his face coming back to life. Red Hood. No, Red Hood. Jason Todd.
The Jason Todd one. Yeah.
It's the Anti-Monitor is the Infinite Crisis one. The big bad Anti-Monitor. That's the big bad of that. And it's amazing. Like there's so many like during the 2000s, between 2000 and 2015 ish. There were so many like great events that DC did. Like they did really good events in the book. There was Infinite Crisis. There was Final Crisis with the death of Batman. There was Blackest Night, which I was watching Jason Jywin on YouTube doing like a Blackest Night breakdown. It's amazing. Go and watch it if you get the chance. It's really detailed and really interesting. Blackest Night is. I've talked about Blackest Night on this show before. I think they should adapt Blackest Night. I've reflected on it after watching his video, and I agree with him. It should be a TV series and not a show, and not a film. Sorry, it should be a show. But and then Flashpoint was in that period of time as well. They did really good events during that time. I think that was when Jeff John was like lead writer on the comics.
He was doing everything then, weren't he?
Yeah, and they're ripe for telling. But I think the main issue with this is, again, we've always said it is that unfortunately DC has a horrific habit of running before they can walk, and it's too much too soon. Like have some patience, build up to it. These characters aren't going anywhere. You don't have to like just spaff everything on your first attempt like you did with Justice League. You don't, though. You know what I mean? No. Like Zane, it's like, I mean, God, Batman versus Superman. What, you put Wonder Woman and like the two of them against each other? Yeah. It's you need to introduce more heroes. But I'm sorry, you need to introduce more heroes. You need Green Lantern. You do need a Green Lantern because there's a lot of cosmic elements to that. You need to properly establish a Superman and a Superman identity that you can lock onto. A familiar Batman. Like it's a lot. It could work, but it's DC aren't great with this stuff, are they?
No.
You sound so sad. But on the plus side, your Batfleck might be coming back.
You take the rough with the smooth, I guess.
and you take his rough any day. So that's the end of tips and bits this week. So let's get on to the main event, Zaney baby. What did we see tonight, Zane?
So this evening we had the pleasure of watching Jared Leto give the performance of a lifetime, and what a performance. This movie,
Jared Leto is the living vampire voice.
Now, normally when we come to do these reviews, we like to talk about certain elements such as the action, the costumes, the references. The list goes on. I'm just having a look at what we normally talk about: the characters, the visuals, canon. We normally give a verdict as well. With this movie, I feel like we're not going to go on that path because.
Well, all right. Let's kick off with everyone's view of Morbius this week. The official Rotten Tomatoes score for Morbius, for the critics and the audience score, has been revealed. Zane, would you like to take a guess at what the current, as of the 1st of April, what the official Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics is to begin with?
I'm going to cheat a little bit because I think I saw it at 19 at one point.
You are incorrect. It is sitting at a dazzling, dizzying 16% on Rotten Tomatoes
16.
for the critics score. Some of the highlights: cursed with uninspired special effects, rote performances, and a borderline nonsensical story, this Spidey-adjacent mess is a vain attempt to make Morbius happen. So there you go. Would you like to now take a guess at what the audience score is in comparison to that? I'll give you a clue. It's a lot higher.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stick with 19.
64%.
Wow.
I know, right? So I don't know what... I'm assuming that this is in areas where people got high on the way into the cinema and they saw a trippy idea of a thing. So let's talk about... So let's talk a bit about the movie to begin with. I liked this more than I thought I was going to like it. That being said, I think it was because I watched it with you and we were laughing at a lot of it.
At points we shouldn't have been laughing.
At points we shouldn't have been laughing, which we will go into.
Yeah, I think that's the caveat.
I think as far as let's just, before we talk about anything, disputed or undisputed?
I'm going to say it's disputed as a movie.
Yes. I love that. I'm the same. Disputed as a movie, but as an experience with you, it was undisputed. So let's do the non-spoilery kind of breakdown. Zane, do you want to go through what the story of this film is?
So this movie is about a man with a illness, incurable... blood disease, which he and a friend share. Dr. Michael Morbius is renowned in the science world because he's created his own artificial blood, which sadly doesn't help with his condition, but it has done miracles for the world in
modern science.
Absolutely, in so many ways.
He's even won a Nobel Prize.
A Nobel Prize winning Michael Morbius. And that's just the first 10 minutes of this movie.
I know. What more do you need?
But due to machinations and his desire to get over this illness, he is resulted to mad science trickery and accidentally turns himself into a vampire of sorts with a list of powers that I didn't even think were possible.
So I will. So it's funny when you said mad science. I thought you were going to say weird science, like the TV show Weird Science, and you were going to say he's created a woman who can give him anything he desires. So you say about the powers. So the character of Morbius in the books. So he first came into it in 1971 in The Amazing Spider-Man. So he was originally a villain in Amazing Spider-Man. And the powers that he has in this film are actually very similar to the powers that the original Morbius had.
Wow.
So super strength, super healing, the ability to fly. He could do all of this stuff. The insatiable need for blood, obviously. Sure. He could do all of that. It's funny because in the I wish they portrayed it in this film, because the way that he becomes that pseudo vampire thing, because in the books he is also it is exactly the same as they do it in the film. They're quite comic accurate with the origin of him. So he has this debilitating blood disease which is fatal. It is going to kill him eventually, and that's why he's trying to learn or unlock the secrets to genetics so that he could fix himself. because his DNA is missing a bit of the code. And he is a Nobel Prize winner in the books for blood research and for being a biologist. And the way that he gets his powers, so he experiments with vampire bats. Again, true to the film. We get this amazing scene in Costa Rica, which is just so random. Like, it's just so thrown in there as like why do you need to put this in the film other than it looks cool with bats? And so he experiments in the books by infusing, and I swear to God, this is what they do. He infuses his DNA with a bat and then gives himself electroshock therapy. That is how he becomes the living vampire known as Michael Morbius.
Do you know what's brilliant as well? I remember an interview Stan gave about science and people becoming heroes and villains in the Marvel universe, and he said he got so tired of doing that, like with every other comic book, with every other character, that he just came up with the excuse that they're mutants. That's where mutants came from. He was just like, I'm just so tired of him having a gamma bomb and coming up with these scientific ways of people getting powers.
It's like the 60s, isn't it? Everything was super science. Anything can happen with super science. Then it's like, oh, just call it mutation, whatever. But yeah,
bitten by a radioactive spider.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Morbius's inspiration in the books is kind of finding a cure for himself. They differ from that in the film in the sense of it's not just finding a cure for himself, it's also for finding a cure for his kind of like inverted commas stepbrother, or adopted brother, Milo, who he calls Milo, but his name's actually Lucian, who suffers from the same rare blood disease. So a lot of the like kind of desire to cure himself is because of both him and his brother, and then his stepbrother when they're both. So you get this scene in like where they're in. It's never really established where they are. I'll tell you one thing about this film, right from the get go.
Yeah,
where was it set? Because it's like you've got this scene which takes place in an orphanage, which I think is supposed to be in Greece because that's where the character is.
Greece.
Is it Greece? Okay.
Yeah.
It's never really established, but that's what we assume it's from. Then you've got a scene with a fight in the underground, which is very, very clearly the London Underground, but it's in New York.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this? And then you get like, there's a scene in Costa Rica, just randomly. There's a scene on the ship in international waters, just because they can. It's all over the place. Like, for a guy who's dying of a debilitating disease, he sure does get about a bit, doesn't he?
There's a lot of travel in this movie.
There is a lot of travel. It's a beautiful, beautiful sight to the world. So anyway, the grown-up brother, Milo, or Lucian, is played by Matt Smith. We will get on to Matt Smith character, because, spoiler alert for the rest of the conversation, Matt Smith is the best part of this film. Then his kind of adopted stepdad kind of thing in the orphanage is Jared Harris. Incredible character actor, Jared Harris. Probably most famous for being Moriarty in Sherlock Holmes 2. And also there is, I can't remember what her name is. You're gonna have to remember what her name is, but there is his love interest in this film. Oh, Doctor, what's her face? I've forgotten her name. It's Martine
Bancroft.
Bancroft, that's it. Martine Bancroft, that's the one. Yes, who is also his love interest in the books as well. So yes, there you go. And yeah, it is. I think this film, right, is a mess. Like it is a mess. There is no two ways about it. Adria Arjona is the lady who plays Bancroft, by the way, and I didn't mention it. I think we have this discussion. It feels like we're having this discussion every year, where there is a Sony film that is released that doesn't really know what it's supposed to be. And this is like an incredible example of that. Like Morbius in the books, he's originally introduced as a villain who then becomes an anti-hero over time but it's not just like that. Like he doesn't, you know, in the beginning, he is a pure old bloodsucker, and like he turns people into like servant vampires and stuff. Like he's a villain, and like, man, they just don't know what they're doing with these characters, Sony. Like it's just so weird. Like it's a weird plot. It's a weird direction for what they do, and it's just so poorly written in the sense of like, I don't know whether it was the editing or what, but like this film is all over the place with like weird plot holes or weird character decisions or just like what? How did that happen? Like, what is that all about?
Dialogue's weird as well.
Dialogue's bizarre.
The dialogue's really bizarre.
Yeah, it feels like it's somebody. It feels like it's an advertising company that was coming up with jingles for what Michael Morbius should say. It's weird. It's weird. We also don't really have an inkling as to what dimension this is in, because he references Venom.
Yeah,
and I mean, we'll get onto the after credit scene, because Jesus Christ, is it the worst after credit scene I've ever seen in a film of the current era, I should say. The one thing I was thinking when I was watching it, we'll get into spoilers in a second, guys. The one thing that I was thinking whilst I was watching this film was, this is a film that doesn't realize it's set in the same era as the MCU. Because, like, if this had been released in 2003 or 2002, people probably would have watched it and gone, "Oh, that's a pretty good film, man. That's pretty all right."
Absolutely.
But superhero movies have advanced so much over the years that this just felt so lazy. It was so lazy.
It's as we said, like, this movie belongs in 2002, 2003. The only thing it's missing is a truck flip halfway through it, which was all the rage.
And Evanescence.
And Evanescence.
Or a Diva, or some other like emo band of the time.
Hoobastank.
Yeah, that would
30
be
Seconds
great.
to Mars. They would have done the soundtrack, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course. Oh God!
The real question, before we go into spoilers, the real question I wanted to ask you is this movie worse than Origins of Wolverine?
Oh, that's hard. No, it's not, because I haven't seen Wolverine Origins for a long time. Oh man, can we go off topic just slightly? Speaking of Wolverine, now that you've brought it up in my head, did you see? So Hugh Jackman's currently in a stage play. It's like, I can't remember what it's about, but it's basically very bombastic and musically.
Okay.
And somebody it was on Instagram, on his Instagram account. Somebody in the audience brought along a foam Wolverine claw.
Okay.
So it's the foam hand with the Wolverine claw, and Hugh Jackman saw it in the front row, and he took it off the guy. Like, this was at the end when they were doing the encore, and the bows and stuff that you do in the theater.
Yeah.
He took it off him, he put it on, and like he did the Wolverine pose, it was like down at the side, and everyone in the theater went nuts. Like, they went absolutely nuts, because it's just like I don't care, right? I will say that Logan was the perfect way to finish off Wolverine, his version of Wolverine. However,
absolutely,
everyone would love to see him back as Wolverine in the MCU. Everyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. Like, I don't care if you want a new Wolverine. I want Old Man Logan back in the MCU. That's what I want. I desperately want that. And I think it might happen, by the way. I genuinely think the ending of Morbius might have given us an indication as to how they are going to introduce mutants, just for the record, with what happens at the end of that. But we'll come on to that another time. So, so going back to Morbius then, should we get into spoilers?
Let's lift the spoiler embargo.
Okay. Just to answer your question outright, by the way, yes, I think this probably is better from Origins, but better than Wolverine X-Men Origins, whatever it was called. However, I probably need to see that again with you next to me, so that I can laugh my tits off at it. So there you go. So let's get into heavy spoilers. So Morbius, the way that he turns himself into a living vampire this time is by a simple serum injected directly into his spine. One thing I will say about this film for the positive, stylistically speaking, visually speaking, like a lot of it, and I'm not talking about the CGI here, but a lot of the visuals in this movie were very striking and actually really good. And the effects, the CGI effects of his blood disease, the wasting away of his body was excellent. Like that was really, really good. And they did a very good job at really highlighting how horrible this illness is and the understanding of why you would want to cure it, and you know, devote your life to curing it. That was a really good part of this film. I thought it was very good, and I know that old Jared Leto, famous gangster Jared Leto, I know that he lost weight in order to do that and to portray that. I will say this about Jared Leto. It wasn't all him. It was CGI as well, but he did lose some weight for it. He does pour himself into his roles and give it his all. If the material isn't necessarily the best, I thought from a portrayal point of view, he was fine. Although I don't know whether it was the studio's fault or his fault that he did fall into this kind of sexy vampire thing where it's like, we gotta have sexy boy vampire. It's like the 2022 version of Twilight. Exactly. I mean, like look at that. It's ridiculous. I mean, the guy is clearly jacked. So positively speaking, stylistically, the film looked very good. I thought it was, the cinematography in it was pretty good. The colors were excellent. Like the visual representation of what was happening on screen was really good. I will say this: when the MCU does do Daredevil, they need to do the type of sonar that they did in this film, because the representation of his sonar ability was excellent. Like that was really good, and it looked properly cool as well. The way it reverbed off of everything, and like he, you know, as a bat, he had the idea was he's got some form of sonar capabilities. So we'll talk very briefly about his abilities. So bloody hell, he's got super strength. He drinks blood. He's got massive old claws. He can turn himself to mist and appear randomly in places.
Is that comic book accurate?
Nope.
Okay.
The mist thing's new, and he's got flight as well, but he doesn't discover flight until later on. And it's a hell of a scene, isn't it, Zane?
It's wild. Sorry, I'm just trying to think back, because all I keep thinking of is just questions. Like, for example, when they're in Greece, why are they using like old-fashioned wooden crutches?
Oh my god!
This is supposed to be 25 years ago, not
that
during like 1918. Like they're in Downton Abbey.
So to spoil some stuff from that scene, so Morbius is in a bed, and Lucian comes in next to him, and they make friends, sort of. They're kind of like talking, and Morbius is saying, "Don't go outside because the kids will bully you and stuff." And then, inexplicably, Lucian's machine just stops working. It's fair enough. Yeah. Maybe it's faulty equipment in Greece. I don't know. You know, I'm not going to comment on the healthcare system over there. And Morbius, being the super genius that he is, fixes it with a coiled spring from a ballpoint pen. Lucian then immediately comes back to life as if nothing was wrong with him. Like, you know, even though he's been like, he literally went into some kind of passed out shock from the thing not working, but that was all it took to get him back in the game. And then the next scene you get is Jared Harris telling Morbius, "You're a genius. I'm going to send you to New York and give you all the private healthcare that you need." And he just leaves, and then he writes a letter to Milo after one scene where he's saying, "You're my brother, Milo, and I love you, and I want you to always know that you've got a brother in me." And I'm like,
what's also crazy?
Do they make very quick attachments? Is that what it is? Is this some kind of psychic bond that I've not experienced, or what? I don't quite get that, Zane. What was that?
One thing that blew my mind slightly as well is in that conversation, he says, I'm going to send you to a school of gifted
Yeah.
individuals. I was like, hello, X-Men reference. Like, can you say a school in New York for the gifted? Like,
Yeah.
did
Yeah,
Dr.
they can't. It's
Morbius...
Sony. They're not allowed to.
The whole idea that Dr. Michael Morbius trained at the Xavier's school.
Xavier's Academy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
But then
bizarre.
what also kind of threw me off slightly as well is that a couple of school kids in Greece read an English handwritten letter,
Yeah, yeah.
then beat up a kid, mocking him
Yes.
for this sincere, heartfelt
Yes, so
letter in a
brilliantly.
different language.
Yeah, this heartfelt letter from his brother that he's known all of 5 minutes. Yeah, this it's quite incredible, that scene. And then Jared Harris gets in and just like, stop beating him up. So yeah, it flashes forward to Michael in New York, and he's an adult and he's rejected his Nobel Prize. He only cares about curing his disease.
Also, you don't see him. You don't see his speech of him turning down the Nobel Prize.
No,
which is in the trailer.
So there is absolutely loads of scenes in this film that were deleted. There's a ton of deleted scenes that are in the trailer, not in the actual thing. Like the Michael Keaton "What's Up, Doc" thing is not in this film, even though it's in the
Spider-Man poster.
The Spider-Man poster's not in this. Exactly.
Never.
None of it is. Not the poster, the graffiti on the wall. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
None of that is in the thing. Yeah, weird. Just really weird. I don't understand. Don't understand the. I don't really understand why. It's very strange, but there you go. It's classic Sony. They've done it again. So yeah. Anyway, he basically does a bobber job with a vampire bat. This was what I thought was hilarious as well. He's just like talking about how he's doing this process and stuff, and he creates the cure right there, just as he's talking in front of the lady. Just like, oh, we get introduced. That's the other thing. We get introduced to a little girl who's like got the same blood disease as him, and he has to, like, she's so debilitated and stuff like that, and like she's at the end of her tether with it. He has to put her into a medically induced coma to stop her being stop her from having a stroke.
Yeah,
and then we never see her again. She's still in that coma, Zane. He never brought her out of it. He just put someone into a coma and then effed off.
I thought when after he does the experiment and he runs away from the boat, he takes the vials, doesn't he?
Way ahead. You're cutting way ahead.
I know, cutting ahead. But you know when he goes to the hospital, I thought he was going to visit her.
Yeah, I did as well.
But it's not her at all.
It's really terrible writing. So yeah, anyway, he's discovered this cure. He's tested it out on a little mouse who's come back and presumably is really thirsty for blood after that. And then I really wanted the rat to do like a vampire like face. Like,
do you remember when they did that in Amazing Spider-Man with the lizard?
Yeah, but Sony aren't repetitive. What are you talking about? They'd never do that.
No idea.
So anyway, he goes to see his friend Lucian / Milo, who is now inexplicably in New York and is also inexplicably extremely wealthy. And we've no idea why. I have no clue why. I've got no understanding as to how he got wealthy or what's going on with him. But anyway, we are introduced to Matt Smith properly in this. My God, is Matt Smith amazing in this film. Like, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. He's brilliant in this. Like, Matt Smith is easily the best thing about this film, playing Lucian / Milo Morbius. He is amazing in this. Am I wrong in that, Zane?
Not at all. And I know last week you mentioned the article where he said he had no idea how to play this character. I get that sense from this because he just hams it up. Like
he hams it up like you wouldn't believe.
Off the rails. And I guess that's part of the role. Like,
yes. Well, again we'll get into it. Yeah. I love Matt Smith in this. So he's really good. I will say this, like he hams it up in at the right points, because some of the bits in this you can actually I do like it did actually connect with me. Like his desperation to want to not have this debilitating disease anymore really does come across. And like his like the initial kind of love and care that he has with Morbius and with Jared Harris's character, the professor, who's technically his stepdad, like it does show, and there is obviously that very personal connection. And Milo was he is a kind person who just wants to live. Like he does just want to live. That's all there is to it. So anyway, it moves forward. Milo gives Morbius all the money he would ever need to do his experiments, because of course he's got it. He's got indescribable wealth from somewhere. Don't know where, but he got it from somewhere. Please feel free to write in and tell us what it is. Now, in order to do the human trials, in order to do the human trials and to have an excuse to have a lot of mercenaries that were going to get wiped out very quickly, Morbius had to do the experiment in international waters where there are no rules. So he gets on a big boat, and him and Bancroft go out to test this experiment. And obviously, because it's international waters, they've hired pirates, because why wouldn't you? So they got a bunch of pirates on board. This for me was another interesting scene, really badly written, because they're on some kind of like medical frigate, I guess,
like a tanker, isn't it? Or
a big tanker, yeah. But it's clearly been set up to have some kind of medical, lab or like
ovens,
exactly. It's got heavy equipment in there, which is medically thing. Now you would imagine that when you're using medical equipment that is probably life-saving equipment, or even just lab things that have to be kept at controlled temperatures, you're going to want a lot of power on that boat, and you're going to want to make sure that power is maintained. So it would make 100% sense that when you're on that boat and when you're doing your experiments, the lights are flickering. Why are the lights flickering, Zane? What the hell is the purpose behind that? Why? It's like, how do we get the guy to go down to the lab? Oh, I know, have the lights flicker. Do they flicker in the lab as well? No, nowhere else. It's just this one room on the boat. That's the only place it flickers, because that's the main thing, that we want to get the mercenaries down there. It's not, they're not investigating any weird noises or anything. No. They don't need to investigate screams or anything. No, let's have the lights flicker. That's great. That'll come up again later, just for the record, because like that really annoyed me. It was so cliched and horrible, that thing. So anyway, Morbius becomes the living vampire after injecting himself. He then proceeds to suck the blood for the first time by systematically wiping out all of the mercenaries that are on the boat. This fight scene, I will say, it's, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen the whole fight scene. What did you think of it, Zane?
What I found quite funny is they do the classic sort of cut away, then cut back in terms of his transformation. So, as you say, he got the injection. We see him have, I guess, a fit of sorts, because he's strapped to the table. He's strapped to the table, and then when we cut back to the table, he's disappeared. And when I say disappeared, the straps have also disappeared with him. It's just an empty chair or an empty table.
I forgot about that.
Which is really bizarre. It's not even like they're shredded, or
they're not even on him when he's on the ceiling either. Like they're just gone.
It's just disappeared. Like they were never even there to begin with, to be shackled with.
I didn't even think of that, but you're right. It's just completely.
It's just weird little continuity.
One thing I will say as well, just quickly, I leant over to you and I said it in the cinema. Going back a little bit to the Grease scene, Charlie Shotwell, who plays the young Morbius, he looks like the Riddler in the Batman film. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, he did. It's just weird things like that. And then you get the classic, don't shoot him, shoot him.
He immediately shoots him, yeah, I know.
So, don't go in there, goes in there. sort of scenario.
Yeah.
And then the weird again, I'm going to say everything's weird, but it's kind of like the opening of this movie is him going to a cave with some bats. He cuts his hand open, and you think it gives the impression, because he has all this equipment around him as well, gives you the impression, oh, we're seeing the transformation for the first time. But then you see him get an injection, and then you're like, oh, this is the transformation.
That scene really annoyed me so much as well, because like we're going backwards here. I don't want to go backwards too much because we want to get through it. Like that scene, there's a trap that is revealed. It's basically, the trap looks like a kind of like Shark Tank cage, but it's like got string wires, presumably to catch the bats or whatever. Like, so he holds his hand inside this cage while it's bleeding, and the bats come out. The cage is so small that they just come pouring out all around him, all around the trap, all around everywhere. There's bats absolutely everywhere. And I'm like, you've just established that they've eaten a deer that is like giant compared to them, and you're just standing there with a bleeding hand, having them swarm you. It's just like, Murr. I'm like, oh, you idiot. Jesus, how'd you win a Nobel Prize?
I also thought, because he won the Nobel Prize, would he not have the money already to set up his theories?
He didn't need the money except when he goes to his friend to ask for
money.
But
it happened off screen, so we only know about it till
Anyway, so when he gets back to New York, and because there's 8 people dead on a boat and he's not there, he's immediately a suspect. So thank God that the NYPD put their main guys on it. Their main guys being the the budget version of Jeff Goldblum, Agent Rodriguez, and also Simon Stroud, aka Tyrese Gibson from Fast and Furious. What did you think of these 2 detectives and how great they were at their job?
They definitely played it by the numbers, right? Like,
they just had nothing to do, did they?
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a bit part. Go on.
Yeah. What's odd to me, I wondered if, in some weird Sony way of thinking things, they were thinking, let's have Tyrese be our Nick Fury, and let's have Rodriguez as our Gordon, because this is kind of like our Batman, right? This is a Batman movie. This is Batman Begins, but with...
That's exactly what it felt like. That is exactly what it felt like. You're right. Yeah, it did feel like that. It did feel like that. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It's just so... Oh, well, there you go. Anyway, yeah, they're on the hunt for Morbius. Also, so we get Milo, Matt Smith's character, meeting Morbius again, discovering that Morbius is like super strong, but there's something inside him. It's the amazing scene where like it's another case of the incredible writing in this, where Jared Leto's Morbius gets very angry at him and then yells at him to leave constantly. He's like, leave, get out of here, leave.
This is
and
a
then
curse.
turns into the Morbius vampire going, leave. And then just as he's about to walk out the door, decides to yell out his name, Milo. And we're like, you just told him to leave. Why are you calling him back? What are you doing? You're all over the place, mate.
It's a weird pace as well, because we've just seen him do all these incredible things, discover his whole range of powers and everything else. And then Milo turns up and he's like, oh, you got the same for me. And he says, oh no, it's a curse. You don't want this. You don't want any of this. This is such a curse.
Sexy body.
Look at my long hair. You don't want this, mate. It's a curse.
I've established that I can drink fake blood and it will work, but you don't want this. You don't want this. No. I've established that I can drink blood packs and not actually have to eat real humans, but you don't want this curse. You want to die. Trust me, you want to die.
There's a door.
It's actually better if you just die. Leave Milo. Milo. No, forget. He's gone.
What's worse is there's like 5 seconds of footage of Milo scrambling on the floor, getting out of the door, and I'm like, do we need that? Do we need to see it just scramble?
No. So we then this is where the film really it really starts to get bizarre. So we get like a bit where the police find Morbius in the building because he's just gone back to his own building and stayed there seemingly for days. And
Horizon Labs.
Horizon Labs.
Nice
I did notice the Oscorp building as well, by the way, in the background. In the park scene, I noticed the Oscorp building. It's that weird kind of like spirally DNA building from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Which is in the background. So anyway, this thing, this chase sequence was where things started. So basically, Morbius gets chased by the police by Tyrese Gibson, and he displays his incredible vampiric powers by this is another thing, by the way, because it's the scene where he jumps up from like staircase to staircase. That's the Guggenheim I can never say the name right. Guggenheim Art Museum, which is in New York. It's not Horizon Labs, that's for damn sure. So it was another way where I was just like, hang on, what's he doing in the art museum? Why is that? But he gets up those stairs to the roof using his vampiric powers in about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Give or take, right? Tyrese Gibson in this film plays a normal man who is running after him using only his legs. So Morbius gets up to the roof first. Now, I would expect in a building which is at least 30 flights of stairs, I would expect Tyrese Gibson, if he's a healthy human being, maybe to take at least 2.5, 3 minutes to get up those stairs. We get a bizarre scene on the roof where Morbius gets surprised by a light gust of wind and almost falls off. More on that later, folks. And after 30 seconds, Tyrese Gibson's up there in his face.
With a gun.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Is Tyrese Gibson part of Too Fast, Too Furious in this, where he's just lightning his way right up to the roof? Because that is some impressive legwork by him. I don't even remember how he escapes that scene. No, he doesn't. He gets arrested, doesn't he? He doesn't even escape.
Arrested. No.
This film.
He literally moves from one end of the rooftop to the other.
Yes.
And before he can react to the gust of wind that nearly blew him off the building, Tyrese Gibson is there, ready to capture, to arrest.
That's the other thing that I forgot to mention. The other scene that really annoyed me was before this. The reason why Morbius is arrested is because there's a nurse that has been killed in the hospital, and she's been drained of her blood, very similarly to the victims on the boat. And we see that scene, and like it is again a really annoying light play sequence. It's a nurse in a hospital where there has to be constant power because people are on life support machines, and you're not just going to have the light twitching on and off every now and again, but they do the stupid chase down the hallway, lights going on and off, when they're trying to ground this in a world of science and not supernatural. It was so annoying, and it was so annoying. So anyway, she's killed by like a vampire, and we never really know. We're not really sure who it is in the first instance, whether or not it's Morbius. We get a police interrogation scene. And then we get Matt. This is where it picks up. So then we get Matt Smith visiting him in jail. And just
before you go into that, in the whole training sequence, we discover time is of the essence. Michael can induce artificial blood for a certain amount of time before he has to have another pack or even real blood. He's just trying to weed off. Well, isn't he?
It's established in this. He feels guilty about killing the people on the boat. And it's established that he's trying to drink the artificial blood, but it's not satiating him the same as real blood, and the effective time of it is getting less and less and less. So the more he drinks artificial blood, the less effective it becomes. And he's going to have a bit of, they refer to it as red and blue. Is he having a bit of the blue, or is he having a bit of the red?
The reason I bring this up is because, as you mentioned, time is of the essence. It goes from like 6 hours to 4 hours and so on. But what we learn is he gets arrested. But in that space of time, not only is he arrested, he's put into orange jumpsuit overalls. He gets a notebook to write down all his thoughts and his thesis and everything else that is going on. And he's allowed to keep his Casio watch.
That's what I was going to say. Like, why? Doesn't make any sense. That's not put into evidence at all, is it? No, of course not.
You're not supposed to take anything into a cell, like nothing at all. But he has a notebook and everything. And it's kind of like, how much time has passed? Because he's written a couple of pages in this notebook. I'm not talking like half a notebook, but it looks like days may have passed. When they do...
Yeah, when the scene starts and that chase starts, it's the morning because the lady has been killed the previous night and they've just discovered her the next morning.
Yeah.
And by the time he escapes the jail, it's night. So that's a whole day gone. But he hasn't drunk any blood because, it's like it's less effective, right? I mean, that's what happens. We've got to get onto this. We'll move through it. So Lucian Milo visits him in jail. And it is established at this point that Lucian has taken the same serum that Michael has. What's impressive about this is that in order to take it, Michael had to have it injected directly into his spine. However, Lucian seems to have just drunk it, and it's had the same effect. So clearly he's doing something that Michael isn't, A bit of background into this character. So Lucian, he's a bastardized version of Hunger, the living vampire from the comic books. So in the comic books, there's a character called Loxias Crown, who is basically, he's an agent of Hydra, or he was an agent of Hydra, and he becomes a living vampire after an encounter with Morbius, and he's created through that. There's a nice little bit in this where actually, so one of his first kind of encounters with Spider-Man is when him and Betty Brant from the Daily Bugle, they're doing articles about abductions under the sewer, under the city in the sewers and stuff like that, and it's Hunger, and it's all featured in the Daily Bugle. And in this, there's a scene where he specifically buys the Daily Bugle from the vendor and is reading about vampire attacks in the city. And I thought it was a nice little nod to like his first appearance in the comics. Was like, oh, cool. Okay, whether they did it intentionally or not, I don't know. He doesn't. He's got different abilities in the books to Morbius. Like literally in this film, he's kind of different. He's effectively a mirror to Morbius in this. Like he is literally like the bad
which is
version.
the Marvel sort of template, isn't it?
It's interesting to note. Yeah, it is interesting to note in this as well that in the books, Morbius has an affliction to light. He doesn't like sunlight in the books, but in this, he's fine with it. He's light of day. He's all good.
Don't tell Blade.
Yeah. I know, no kidding. So let's see. Let's go through some of his abilities. Got on here. In the comic books, Hunger has genius level intellect, superhuman strength, speed, and durability, flight, hypnotism, accelerated healing factor, reliance on consuming blood, and also dark force manipulation. Whatever the hell that is. So God knows what that is. He does have. He does not possess any of the mythical vulnerabilities that the supernatural vampires are, such as garlic, holy water, crucifixes, or silver. He's a strong aversion to sunlight, thanks to his photosensitive skin, which allows some protection from major sunburn. In contrast to true vampires that are incinerated by it, with the result he can move in daylight, but his powers are diminished, and he will stick to the shade if circumstances demand him to be active during the day. So Shade is a daywalker. Not Shade, sorry. Hunger is a daywalker.
Hunger.
Yeah, sorry, it's getting late here, guys. I apologize. I'm getting a bit tired. So yeah, anyway, so they've clearly adapted Hunger and Loxias Crown into this Lucius Milo character with more of a connection to Morbius. And once Hunger shows up, Matt Smith goes into overdrive on his acting. There's no two ways about it, and it does become basically a two-man show of Jared Leto and Matt Smith bouncing off scenes against each other with Bancroft, Adria Arjona's Bancroft, like peppered in there, salt and peppered in there, Zane, salt and peppered in there. It's going to come back
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just constantly kind of like, just I would like to know what Morbius is kind of doing during this time, because he's just kind of like faffing around, really. He's trying to like not drink blood, but then he is trying to drink blood, but he's not looking for a cure for that. He's just kind of like whatever. And then like he comes up with a way of killing them both, which is just poison rather than trying to cure his own brother.
Reverse engine. Yeah what he's done.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. It's just a weird thing. We do get I will say the best fight sequence of the film is in this part where they basically Lucian fights Morbius in a subway, and they go down the subway steps, and then you see Hunger systematically just wipe out an entire squad of policemen, which is awesome. That was really, really good. Like, it looked really good. The whole fight looked really good. Zane, what did you think about the CGI fights and the vampiric effects in this film?
I was not a fan. Like, I don't understand the sort of smoky trail they left as they were fighting and stuff, and it left it like really visually. It made it like you had to strain to see what's going on or make out what was going on. Especially in the final fight sequence where it was just a load of smoke and debris.
That drove me nuts. Like, well, yeah, we'll talk about that soon. But yeah, God, that was not good. I don't know what we'll talk about it soon. It was rough. I agree with you. The CGI was not good in this. It was really not good. And like the vampiric effects just looked weird, man. It wasn't. I get that they're supposed to look emaciated and like evil, but like it just
Some points it looked really good, and I don't know if that's because it had time, maybe because they were stationary. Like I think there's like close-ups of his hand when he's vampiric, and I thought actually that looks really sort of believable. It doesn't look so rubbery. Sometimes CGI can look super rubbery and stuff. It looked really detailed and great lighting and such. But like you said, other times it looked ropey.
Naff. Yeah. It was not great. Some parts good, some parts bad. So in this subway fight, we find out that Morbius can fly. He realizes that suddenly the reason why he almost got blown off a roof was because he can travel on wind currents. So he uses the wind current in front of a subway train to fly, because that's just what he does now, because he can do anything, can't he? And he escapes from Hunger. Okay, this was the bit of the film that was the best part of the entire film for both of us. So we get a nice emotional scene with Morbius and Bancroft, where we finally get them having the romantic kiss. So they're on a roof overlooking Manhattan. It's a beautiful scene. Like the two of them, they're talking about what needs to happen and what's coming, what's ahead. And they do a lovely, lovely, passionate, romantic kiss. It's beautiful, isn't it, Zane?
Yeah, it's a magical moment. Go on. I was just going to say, not only do they find out that Michael Morbius can control himself around her, because there's a point where she accidentally cuts her finger feeding her cat, and he was able to control his urges not to consume her blood and such.
Yeah.
And you know, they have a bit of banter about it, and it's romantic. And then
Yeah. Beautiful moment, isn't it? Yeah. And then what happens, Zane?
As they have this passionate kiss at night over the city on the rooftop in New York, in the far distance, as a train passes, you see a figure watching. And not only is it a figure, it's the figure of Matt Smith watching them passionately kiss.
We're not
from
right.
another roof.
We're not doing it justice, guys, but it is one of the most awkward edits and cuts to one of the weirdest looks I have ever seen on recorded film. And it's supposed to be sinister, like it's supposed to be like, oh, he's still watching them, and he knows everything that's going on. But
he knows he likes it.
Exactly, it just looks like some pervy guy watching them make out on a roof, just getting into it. Like the look on his face, like, oh yeah, go on, kiss her harder.
Because I'll get her and you'll be mad.
I'm gonna drink her blood. Yes, it's hilarious. And it was the part in the film in the cinema where Zane next to me almost died laughing. It was you literally laughed out loud at that part, and everyone else in the cinema was quiet. And when you started laughing, I started laughing, and my cheeks hurt so bad afterwards.
I think it's because I that's it. The mask was off. I was like, this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
like there's I know it's there to kind of be like, oh, he knows Michael likes her. Yeah. That means he's gonna get her. But at the same time, I'm like, it just looks awkward. Yeah. Awkward as hell, and there's no reason for it.
We can pretty much like do a quick run up to the ending. So I mean, what happens after that is Michael again is just faffing around, trying to come up with like ways to stop him, right? But not really like trying to look for a cure or anything, just looking for ways to kill him. Still all conflicted. Then we get a Matt Smith tour de force of scenes where he chats up a woman in a bar, and then the boyfriend stops him, and then he proceeds to kill the boyfriend in the parking lot. The detectives realize that it's probably not Morbius who's done the killing, it's probably this other guy. You know, because some of the killings happened when the Morbius was in police custody. But anyway, let's move on. And then we get the other scene that made us laugh out loud, where they clearly just went, all right, Matt, you're really in tune with your powers now, and you're feeling really sexy and empowered. Just do a little dance for us. Do a little sexy dance for us, can you, in front of the mirror? Is that all right?
You're drunk on blood. Go for it, Matt.
Drunk on blood. Yeah, you're super high on blood. Can you just give us a little sexy dance right in front of the mirror? Just shirt off, Matt Smith. Come on, let's go. It honestly, the dance itself is phenomenal, and we were absolutely crying with laughter in the cinema when I saw it. So yeah, that happens. Let's fast forward a little bit. Not much else happens in the film apart from the ending of it.
Sure.
So this is great. So Hunger and Morbius are fighting. Hunger delivers a CGI death blow to Morbius by slashing at his thumb. Oh, he's killed Bancroft, and he's killed Jared Harris as well in the run up to this final fight. Bancroft has died in Morbius's arms, and Morbius has then bitten her, which apparently, unlike all the other people that he's bitten so far, it hasn't done anything, but with her, it brings her back to life later on.
Caveat: they share a kiss as she dies in his arms, and she bites his lip.
Right. Oh,
and a drop of blood falls in her mouth, and she licks it.
I didn't tweak that. Yeah, I didn't tweak that. Okay, well that's fine. That's fine. They drank each other's blood, and so therefore now she's a vampire. So yeah, Bancroft is alive. The fight with Hunger is one of the So I don't know what Sony have about people fighting on tall buildings and then falling off them, but this is now the second Sony film in a row in 2 years that has done that. Because at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, they fight on the top of a cathedral and one of them falls off it. And in this one, they fight on top of a tall building and they fall off it.
Yeah. Isn't that from the old Fox playbook?
I
remember Fantastic Four being that.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, it's ridiculous. This is why this film would have been great in 2003. It's not great now. This was fantastic. So, like, the way that Jared Leto beats hunger is okay. Now it's established earlier on in the film that he's brought back some vampiric bats from Costa Rica, right? And they're in it. There you go. They're in a tube. There's not that many bats in there, are there, Zane?
No, because that device he had could only catch so many, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, when he turns in and he has his power montage scene, he establishes that he's created a bond with these vampiric bats, because he's part vampire bat now because of this DNA and stuff. The same DNA that's in Hunger, but let's just look over that right now.
It doesn't matter.
He hasn't got the bond. So when Morbius is about to die, he lets out what I can only describe as a death wail, which, shouts out across the city, doesn't it?
I would say so. At least the underground of the city.
100%. Now, from that shout out, big old shout out, thanks Morbius, nice shout out to the bats out there. We get some vampire bats turning up, don't we, Zane? Now, Zane, based on the amount of vampire bats that turn up, would you say that it's all the vampire bats from Costa Rica that have now traveled to New York to save Michael Morbius?
I probably dare to say they're just all the bats in New York.
Absolutely, because New York is known for its intense bat population
that live underground in these retired train yards,
these dirty sewer pipes, and obviously bats hate light, so New York's not a very bright place, clearly. So why would they definitely wouldn't be attracted to a place that's got neon lights or anything like that. It does, that makes all
of course not. Yeah,
a ridiculous number of bats turn up, more than were captured from Costa Rica. It's like an absolute tidal wave of bats, basically. Morbius, who has been stabbed in the guts and is bleeding out on the floor, then somehow miraculously is healed by the power of flying bats.
That scene is ridiculous. More ridiculous than the Catwoman scene in the Halle Berry Catwoman, where all the armies of cats somehow resurrect her.
Yeah. So it's at this point that Michael discovers his most impressive power of all, which is he has the power to command the bats in what I can only describe as Hadouken attack. And he uses the bats as a fireball to pin Matt Smith to the floor. What's
worse is that he does the movement, doesn't he? He charges a cluster of bats.
He goes full on Hadouken. Yeah.
And then
it's so weird. It's so weird. And then he stabs him with this poison stuff, and then we get a nice touching scene where Lucian turns back into who he was before Hunger, and he's all like, I'm sorry, Michael, don't kill me, I'm sorry. He's affecting the Oscar Isaacs accent for it. It's great.
Yeah.
Even though Matt Smith's British. You gave me my name, even though my name's actually Lucian. It was established before you gave me that name. So yeah, and then Lucian dies, and then basically the ending is just it literally just ends. There's no aftermath to it. It's just he's just flying off then. All right, that's it.
Flies
off. He's still
with his army of bats,
crippling blood disease, and his his army of bats. Jesus Christ. It's terrible. It's such a bad film. But it was hilarious to watch. Let's very quickly touch on the after credit scene, which go on. What were you going to say?
There's two. Don't forget. There's two.
Oh, are there? It just was the same one. This could be the worst after credit scene in an MCU in a existing MCU world that we live in now, this could be the worst post-credit scene I've ever seen. It was awful. Zane, would you like to run us through the first post-credit scene?
The first scene shows us.
You're actually struggling to remember what it was because it's that terrible.
I'm trying to think of the right words more than anything. So this scene, there's a purple cloud that's closing up above New York, which
it's a familiar purple cloud.
You're safe to assume this is the same purple cloud that was at the end of No Way Home. And what happens next is a cut to an empty prison cell, and the prison cell has an inmate that materializes inside said cell, and that person is Adrian Toomes from Homecoming. Michael Keaton's
as Adrian Toomes.
As Adrian Toomes. He has a yellow glow, and eventually that glow disappears, and he sees himself in the mirror, and he's like, well, I hope the food is better here.
Yep, I hope the food's better in this place. Okay, cool. He's then released, and you made one of the most amazing points I've ever heard in my life. What was the point that you made?
So the way we found out he's released is there's a news article that tells, a news broadcast that tells us that a man is found in a prison cell. And he claims he is Adrian Toomes.
It's big news, guys. Honestly, I don't know if you knew this or not, but like, to have a news article where they're telling us that a guy's turned up in prison, shocking, isn't it? That is national news.
It's the randomness of it more than anything. For them to be like, a random man is found in a random empty prison cell.
Yeah. But that's not the only post-credit scene. So the next post-credit scene I'll tell you about. We get Michael Morbius is now taking full advantages of all his powers by driving a car through the desert. And he
at night.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, yeah, that's when he gets most of his powers. And he is driving into the desert, because there's no wind currents there for him to fly on in an arid, dry desert where the wind doesn't blow through. So he's driving out there, and then we get a weird, like, kind of distance. There's like a dust storm that's being created and heading towards him. And it turns out to be Adrian Toomes in his actual Homecoming Vulture outfit from Homecoming, which in Homecoming is established was created through Chitauri tech that he's scavenged over the years from the incident that happened in New York, in a different dimension. And he says, I've heard a lot about you, yada, yada, yada. I'm here because of Spider-Man, yada, yada, yada. I think we could team up, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, he's got a wife and kid that he clearly doesn't care about anymore. Like, he's done with that. He's like, nah, forget it. That, they're dead to me. And like, how did he get his outfit? How did he get his suit? I don't understand that at all. And it's like, it's quite clear that they want to do, I guess, because they've roughly established that Venom and this is set in the Amazing Spider-Man universe. I assume that means they want to do the Sinister Six, because Sony have been trying to do the Sinister Six for ages and failing, even though they just did the Sinister Six the best way that they could have ever done the Sinister Six in the MCU.
Yeah.
And it's, oh my God, Zane, it's just so bad. Like, it's so bad. It's really shit. I'm sorry, I'm going to swear. It's the worst post-credit scenes. And the movie's shit. And I just, oh man, it just drives me nuts. And your thoughts, Zane, just give us both barrels. Come on.
It's, oh my God. I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said. Like, it feels like a Fox movie. It feels like
a Sony movie.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to be one of these a year. You know that. Like next year, it's going to be Kraven. We're going to be having the same conversations about Kraven, where it's like, why did they make this? They didn't need to make this. Again, why didn't they make Spider-Gwen? Why didn't they do Spider-Man Noir, for God's sake? Just do something different.
Well, the other thing that crosses my mind before we started recording this on the way traveling back, I wonder, because this is an edit mess. Like, it is just chopping, changing all over the place. Like, I wonder what the rest of this was. Like, I'm not saying there needs to be a Morbius cut or, you know, if there is a director's cut that comes out on a DVD, maybe I'd be interested to see what that was. And knowing full well, like, you know, in the past we've had a Daredevil director's cut and everything else. But at the same time, like, I don't think a director's cut would save this movie anyway.
Oh God, no! It's just terrible.
But it's just
a really bad
out of
movie.
Interest because it's just a mess.
Yeah, I'm sure they will release something, but yeah, it's bad. For those of you who are interested, I mean, go and see it if you want to go and have a laugh, because that is what you will have watching this film. Because we did, it was hilarious to watch, but it's not a good film. It's really not, unfortunately. And Jared Leto has now appeared in the worst DC movie and the worst Marvel movie, pretty much. I think is you know. It's just sad because, you know, he's not a bad actor.
He had a really good like IMDb history as well, you know, with things like Fight Club, American Psycho,
Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, he had an immaculate like track record.
Blade Runner 2049 he was in as well.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame, but there you go. That's what the power of David Ayer's Suicide Squad will do to your career. Look what it did to Will Smith. Oh,
wow! Back at it again.
It's fine. It's been so long. Nobody's listening anymore. It's fine. They've all given up, Zane. They've all given up. We've done a deep dive into Morbius, for God's sake. Anyway,
it's going to really date this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. All right, guys. Well, what did you think of Morbius? Did you enjoy it? Are you crazy? I mean, did you enjoy it? Are you just excited to see where the incredible Sinister Six will go from this, with Morbius and Vulture and probably Paul Giamatti's Mechanical Rhino? We're all excited to see it. Come on, let's see where it's going. Right into us. How can they get in touch with us, Zane?
You can email us, which is I've got it up on the screen this week. You know, it's nerdsundisputed@gmail.com.
Oh, sorry, I did a yawn. It's late. We just watched this film tonight, and it's like it's taken it out of me. All the laughter is taken out of me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm @GentlemanTheGamer. You can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/GentlemanTheGamer. I'm streaming every Monday at the moment, guys. We're doing Resident Evil 0. We just finished our playthrough of Detroit Become Human. It was emotional. Cool. And yes, Resident Evil 0, I'm reminded as to why it's one of the not liked Resident Evils. Anyway, come along. And you can grab you on the gram, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah. You can follow myself, Zane_Taicho on Instagram. Same for Twitter. And as always, you can find me on the Undisputed Anime Podcast, where we like to talk about anime and manga.
Yeah, where he's made merch for it because he loves it so much. Jesus Christ. Anyway, all right, guys. I'm done. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go and sleep. Zane, it's been a pleasure. We should do it. We should do something Bruce Willis related next week.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for that.
In addition to probably watching Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's mad. Why wouldn't you?
Of course, naturally. You've got to do a bit of the old Mickelson.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Everyone, we hope you have a safe week. Stay safe out there, and we will catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Ciao for now.